an antique dealer on the East Coast. Anyways, we got it all done, and one day all these trucks started showing up one after another from this most important company out in Palm Beach. It sells classic European relics from castles, one truckload after that. I said, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. I think we better kick it up a notch. So I got to work with some celebrities. They live in Bonita. And I didn't hear much after we finished the project. It was a very challenging project. And all of a sudden, Saturday night, 8:30, I get a voicemail. Oh no. What is this? Christian, I got to tell you, I'm here with my wife and we're sitting at the table you told us to sit at. We can see your vision and we just love it and we really thank you. I can't see it all at one time. I have an idea what I'm doing, but I mean, sometimes you don't feel the magic until everything gets synced into place with the paving and the water gardens and where the foliage has to be for a lot of reasons. So there's only a place, you're creating all the places you can for something beautiful. And that's the hardest part. It's what you get at the end. I think that makes it worthwhile.
Welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with Christian Busk. In our last episode, we heard the incredible stories of Christian rescuing 150-year-old houses from the dumpster and moving them across bridges. But what happens after the house is saved? What happens when you're standing in a room with the world's top architects and interior designers, and you're the only one willing to say, this isn't working? Today, Christian takes us behind the velvet rope of Naples' most exclusive estates. We're talking about the high-stakes collaboration and sometimes the headbutting that happens when you're designing for celebrities and visionaries. From receiving a mysterious 8:30 p.m. voicemail that changed everything to his 15 life-changing trips to Brazil to meet the most famous landscape architect in history, Roberto Burle Marx. Christian reveals the magic that happens when art, nature, and architecture finally sync up. Get ready for a masterclass in vision, the truth about the Key West style in Naples, and why Christian believes that in a world of hidden buttons, we're losing the soul of what makes a place truly beautiful. This is part 2 with the legendary Christian Busk.
Which I think people come to Naples for a certain lifestyle. And when you buy the right house on the right lot and you want to do something for yourself, you get it done. Even if it's historic, but I don't get too many of those. Yeah. They're all gone by the time.
Yeah. Well, everything's a lot. The houses are bigger now on the properties too, right? Mm-hmm. They're taking up a lot more of the property as much as they can when they.
Yeah, architecture's sold by the square footage, and people I think want to get as much as they can with the property they have, and I understand it, but it's nice when you get a collaboration of architects and interior designers and landscape architects where not one controls everything. Hey, well, if you do this room, can we do it off of here and make this way and make this way? Then we get this opportunity and we can link it this way and make a garden experience instead of this boxes everywhere. Mm-hmm. It's challenging. I mean, but if the owner wants something unusual, that's good. I mean, then they get the 3 professionals to work together.
How does it usually go when you have 3 like that together? I mean, what's the?
I have some stories
dynamic
about that.
Yeah,
they're not always good on my yeah. my part. I
because you got 3 different visions sometimes, right?
Yeah,
kind of marry them together.
Yeah. I've had some challenges with that. Architects work a certain way, and if somebody else's. What's interesting is when you're in a meeting and they have the interior designer and the architect and you there, and you brought in maybe months after they started. So there's some idea what they're going to do. Mm. I have one in particular in mind. Anyways, so I'd worked with this client and his brother, and this is my second home I got to work with them on, but this is a new home. So we renovated the last one. They liked everything we did. So they bring me in and said, so Christian, what do you think this house should look like? What do you like about Florida homes? I mean, what's your perfect Florida home? I said, well, being from the South, it's always hot. I said, I like porches. I like, to get out of the sun. But I really like, something that has a breezeway somewhere we can create air through there because, if you have a porch, you don't have any air, it really, the fans can only do so much. I said, but I like porches, front porches. I like back porches. I like interconnecting spaces and all. The owner says, well, we have this project here. We have the houses here and we have 2 driveways coming up and we have garages on both sides. She says, how are we going to make the front entry look right? I said, well, why don't you come up through the middle and do a circular thing with a fountain, and we'll do the garages on the inside, and then we've created the whole front entry with with water and direction. I said, and then we have the rest of the property to have a landscape. So I'm not always a fan of the architects when I say something like that, because they'd already gotten too far along, I think, with their ideas of the structure. And unfortunately, it's hard to sit there and go, I could say it or I don't say it. If I don't say it, well, as they got it done, the project was beautiful. And I got to do the swimming pool and all the hardscapes and all the hard, the driveway and it was wonderful for that. But unfortunately, it's embarrassing to sit there and be grilled in front of another professional when they already had ideas, and it's very uncomfortable. But when you get put on the spot, you really have to say what you think. And so it worked out great for the owner.
That's what they
I
want
know,
from you.
I know, but it didn't work out for the architect. It still doesn't care for that situation. But I was kind of forced to say what I think, and that's
Kind of hurts your ego a little bit, huh?
Unfortunately, and you don't want to step on people's toes, but when they have a challenge, they want to fix it. Here's one way to fix it.
Yeah.
I'm not designing the house, but I'll tell you how we've done it before. And they say, oh yeah, we've done houses like that. So it was like, it wasn't out of their wheelhouse, but it was just, it's that's what a collaboration should be. But you don't always get everything you want. But you know what? At the end of the game, we had another one we did in Pelican Bay, similar, because the architect wouldn't like me on this one either. They'd spent months designing this one thing, and the property was really long, but they had actually designed the most incredible outdoor space I've ever seen. But they put it so close to the building, I had no landscape experience at all. I said, well, can't you guys like float that away? Just push it to the back setback line? Well, we could. I said, well, can we? We just link it together with the trellis. And I said that we need to control the western sun there anyways. So we did. I was able to get enough space to do other things when that happened. And so, I mean, I'm just stuck in this little, footprint. I can't, there's only so much room. So that one worked out great for me, but I don't think it really changed what the architect was doing, but it was beautiful at the end. It really was. And I got to work for the interior design on that too. That takes professionals. This guy worked for the, a big company, and so we got what he needed to get. Beautiful. But they weren't afraid to work with professionals and get their opinion. And I thought that was brilliant. Yeah. If you're going to hire somebody, don't just be in a bubble here. Look at your options. Before you get the thing under construction. Yeah. It wasn't hard. They'd already designed the structure. They just shipped it back. It didn't change any of the working drawings. I mean, but it's like, if you guys want me to work, you better give me a little area to work in. Right. That's how it goes in my world. It's very hard, and now it's even more difficult because the structures are so much larger than they ever were. We did have. I had a wonderful couple I worked in. Yeah, in the early days, it was out on Gordon Drive. It was probably a half a mile from the Port Royal Club on the east side. And so they wanted to do an old Florida Key West style home, which they did, but they wanted a guest house. They wanted to interconnect them, which is what we did with decks and water gardens, and they had the alley behind them. So so we didn't have to park in the front. I don't think it was, but it turned out to be one of the most enjoyable projects because they were fun people and they wanted it to be more like Key West. It was one story with a loft, and the other was actually the garage and kind of a guest wing, but it wasn't overpowering, and it was in the early days, and people didn't need to have much square footage in Naples. I don't think they wanted something too big. Yeah. I think people get carried away. How many rooms are you going to really need when they come for one time a year? Stay in a hotel, all right?
Yeah. No, it's incredible.
A party.
What do they do with these places?
You don't. I mean, who's going to clean it?
I know. Air condition it, clean it.
I say that, right?
Maintain it.
It's kind of funny. I don't know. So, you get to do some interesting projects over time, and some of them aren't that large, and some of the interesting projects are when they just give you, carte blanche to do whatever you think I need. Just please do it. So you're looking at every setback to see what you can do for the people and how can we expand the space and make it where they can use every square inch and walk through the garden and make these walkway experiences. And now we have the artificial turf. That's changed the game more than anything, because now we can have turf under shade. I can run under trees. Of course, now we're vacuuming leaves instead of, trying to rake them up, and you're not blowing them, but you're vacuum with a true vacuum. So we just did a huge project, and they had the largest installation for a residential project for this one company in Florida. It was like the whole front was 400 linear feet in Port Royal. It was a beautiful execution. We got to do an insane garden. I mean, I'm serious. We had done the back like 2 years before, and they were so excited about that back, and it was this tiny little pie shape. The front was like 10 times the space, but you had to get everything through the driveway, the front entry, and so we would do some really, really fun things. But yeah, that has lifted the restriction of having grass that takes 6 to 8 hours of light a day to keep alive. Now you can go anywhere you want to with it, and then and they warranty that stuff for like 25 years. I mean, most of my clients are going to be in a nursing home by then.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, I say that in a nice way, but anyways, that's really changed the game for landscape work. That wasn't really popular 25 years ago. We were having a hard time, and some developments wouldn't even allow it. In fact, well, I won't say too much. It's still on the books. In certain developments, they don't really endorse it, but I don't think they're stopping it because there's so much shade in some of these developments. There's nothing else to do besides pebbles. They don't want to see that to the street. You're not allowed to do. So you're restricted, and it's a great material to use. Even if you don't use a lot of it, it's just no maintenance. There's no pesticides. People are doing that more to control the pesticides because we're always spraying, even though it's either Floritam, St. Augustine, which we don't really use anymore, or the Empire Zoysia, which is our best golf course looking grass. It's
some people
preferred.
do that in their homes too, right?
Yeah.
The golf course. Yeah, my friend did that. Yeah.
Well, and then there's one variety that if you're really a connoisseur of turf grass, you can use Celebration. There's some really nice Bermudas, but they're a little bit more. There's so many grasses out there. There's 15 different varieties of zoysia grass, and all the golf courses use different grasses because of the height that they excel at being cut at. So you have the greens are one, the collars are one. I came from one of my majors was golf course maintenance, but that was my horticulture degree. But you don't have that much. People just want it to look great all the time. So that's where the artificial turf comes in. But sometimes it's light. We do some gardens that some of the canopies now they started at 12, 14 feet, and now they're like 50 or 60 feet. So the light coming from the garden from the south side gets blocked by the angle of light in the winter. So that's a little challenging on turf. When we started it was plenty of light. When it grows in after 10 or 15 years, the light changes, And so we're modifying gardens in 5 or 10 year cycles, depending on what the maintenance is like, then how fast the canopy grows. But people love it. I mean, that just changes, and people add water gardens. It's fun to see people transform their places from being really boring and ugly to it's spectacular. I mean, even in my property, I have the creek running around my entire property, 450 feet of water, but the driveway was quite large to get people in and out of it, and I didn't have a problem with the space. So I finally found this historic fountain a friend of mine found for me, 100 years old by a French designer. And all I had was a top part. I didn't have a base, and I didn't really have the budget to build one. So I used an old bakery bowl that was like a mixing bowl. It was like 3.5, 4 feet wide. And I just plopped that fountain in there, put the pebbles in there, got the pump hooked up, and have an automatic fill on it. I'm happy as a clam.
That's
I get
awesome.
out of my car, and I don't even want to go anywhere. It just it's amazing what water does for people.
Yeah.
And I'm in the business.
Yeah.
And I'd never had a swimming pool. I've done so many for people, but the water and hearing water. Yeah, we're doing one right now, and for some really wonderful clients in Pelican Marsh, and they said, we're right next to Vanderbilt Drive. It really gets noisy. Can you do anything about that? I said, I know you do have a water garden now. She said, yeah, but that one's too loud. I said, well, let's give you 3 different types. So whatever type of entertaining you're doing, you can press the accessory button and you can get what you want. I said, we'd like that.
Yeah.
So you're redoing something that was already there, not changing. Well, change it. Now today, different than swimming pools 20 years ago, people want those lounge areas because we found that people want to hang out by their spa, and they want to hang out with their feet in the water in the lounge pool, or put their loungers in there and have an umbrella and just like sit and read a magazine. How relaxing is that? I mean, it's like, can you do that? I said, I can add that to your existing swimming pool. You can? I said, Yeah, we just pin into dowel into it and we just pour the concrete. We're done. It's like, really? I said, well, we add LED lights in it and we have push water so that it gets cleaned out and all that. But I said, yeah, this is so much fun. All the kids play in that. The grandkids come. It's like, that's where they hang out and the mothers stay in the spa. And they're sitting on the spa and they watch the kids.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect gathering spot.
Yeah.
So that's changed the industry there. People want water. They want to hear the sound of water. They want to see it, the water walls, the jumping water, the spilling water. It's all of those things together that make a space really work. And then we're even doing this artificial turf in these courtyards, which you may not think it's believable, but from a distance, it really is. And at night, it gives you a certain value. The stones start floating and with the lighting, and you just start seeing the black and white of the paving basically in the garden. And it's an art form when you're playing with light and how it changes, and when people entertain and making it safe, and all the lighting we get to do, and all the different things you get to work with lighting and architecture, makes it a full program.
This is probably an elementary question, but I remember when we moved into our neighborhood, there were houses that were on the left and houses that were on the right. So the ones on the left the back of the house faced north, and the ones on the right, back of the house faced south. What's the best exposure for a house down here?
Clearly south, because all of our winter sun starts shifting about October, and it keeps dropping until it's about 20 degrees from vertical. But so
that's
all
what we ended
your
up
light,
on anyway.
But you know what? It depends on what you're looking for. But I think most of our northern visitors, their light gets so dimensional, it's cloudy and all this. They really want to see bright, and everything's coming in at a 20 degree. I mean, it throws so much light in the house and all those entertainment areas. It's just amazing. However, the facing north, you're really not getting the east or the west sun. So some people like that. They don't really want the brightness either way. So if you're from the southern sky, if you're getting that exposure, in the morning you're getting light, in the afternoon you're getting light. Some people don't want to see the light, and then in the summertime, it's really it might feel cooler having a northern exposure. The light's just not as good. You just don't get the light into the house. It's just you have to have a lot more skylights to make the house work well. Skylights are important because a lot of times they're not part of the original design, and it's so important. Some of these houses are just sealed up at the top. There's not a lot. Back in the architecture, you see from the old, even the Greek days and in Rome and all that, you see all these beautiful openings in the top to let the light in. It was just classic. It was beautiful. I mean, it just makes the spaces come alive. Yeah. The problem with a lot of architecture you'll see, and I'm sorry to say that, but a lot of it, I don't know why they're so afraid of the skylights, because I think it just brings life into the house. Mm-hmm. So my house has a few in the kitchen. That's where I spend a lot of time, because it just always has a light, even if you don't have the lights on in the daytime. So
you cook then? You spend a lot of time in the kitchen?
Yeah, it's survival cooking. Yeah.
Survival cooking?
Grilling is survival, but it can be good too. Yeah. Okay. No, nothing too elaborate. It takes too much time. It's all right. It's all good.
You mentioned music. Music's a big part of your life. What's
your I've got
playlist like?
I got to learn piano at an early age, starting in second grade. I got to take piano all through high school, growing up, and
music as a musician.
That was really rare. No, you didn't. You either like to do it or you really practiced hard and you made a good. I had two sisters on either side of me. They took lessons, but they didn't want to practice. So it's like any learned experience. You got to do a lot of it. So I appreciate music from doing that. Some people play music by the ear. I don't even know how they do it. If your memory goes, you're stuck. If you have a brain fog, you're in big trouble. The music is there. You can read that music and get back on track. The other, you're done. You are done. You might as well cash on, get off the chair. It's very hard, but learning to read music, it just gives a whole different experience. No matter where you want to take it. I mean, you can take it as I'm not a classic pianist at all. I learned jazz, and I had a church friend that was teaching us piano, and she played for all the rich Christmas parties in Palm Beach. She'd play the Palm Beach parties with her husband, which was a drummer. So I got to learn, a sense of jazz that she played, which was really something at that time nobody would really do. I mean, it wasn't popular. today you don't see many people playing piano, do you?
No.
They just turn on. They're just going to hit YouTube, or they're going to have Spotify, or they're going to go to any music station. So it's very it's easy to totally cash out of that, but the beauty you get is how you play the music, and where do you find the rest of the music? How long are you supposed to hold that note? You're supposed to hold this note where you're playing other ones with the other fingers. Really? Are you kidding me? Nobody knows that unless you're doing it. But I mean, it's what the artists do with music. And if you create these great pianists, they just hold you in suspension of the way they play the music. The keys are the same. It's how they're playing it. It's just so it's appreciation of that. I think when you learn music,
What's playing in your house or in your?
Oh, I still like the old standards. I can't believe of course, my era is, you grow up with your parents, and I never thought you'd, really enjoy the older music. But some of our classical things were, I have to say it, Frank Sinatra, Johnny Mathis. I mean, some of those, the music was great. And then now you got people doing some great things like like Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga. The latest stuff was pretty amazing. You got some great artists out there, but there's some that aren't so good. But they're not as accomplished. Nobody had to work as hard as the artists that were movie stars at the same time, back in that era. And I don't think, I think with technology, you tend to skip over that. It was great, wasn't it? And then that's it. But I think the effort it took to ride on those trains or taking those plane flights to go to different places to shoot films and to be at concerts and stuff was just all that you could do as a person, just to get there on time and do your magic, whether you're a singer or an actor. That's people don't understand how much work it takes, and not many people are willing to do that. It takes a huge sacrifice, as an artist, any type of artist, that painters or sculptors, or it's the proof's in the pudding. You can't really fake some of that stuff.
Yeah, we have a playlist on Spotify for all the guests that come on the show.
Yeah.
So I want to add some from your genre or whatever you would choose. So would that be Frank, or who else? Who else would we put on there to represent you?
It's hard to believe. Oh, I don't know. That's kind of funny. There's so much music. Because my era was a disco era. So I mean, there's some beautiful things from there. I mean, some of is it Donna Summer? I wouldn't listen to that every day, but I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I could pick out something, but I like some of the classics like Clair de Lune. It's wonderful, Clair de Lune, and that's some beautiful music. Oh, some of the Rachmaninoff stuff is just out of this world, but I mean, that's all classic stuff.
Yeah,
I know. But if I just turn the music on, I want to hear some Frank Sinatra. Something. Yeah. Johnny Mathis, they're both what voices, and then there's others, but I mean, those are my go-to.
Yeah, Johnny Mathis was our Christmas always. That whole album, my mom loved Johnny Mathis.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
and they went on and on. I mean,
that voice.
Yeah. I like. I spend time just. I liked watching old movies that had a lot of. Okay, they were good plots, happy plots. I'm not so good about the dramas and. But anyways, but that's all good. Music is so wonderful. If you just if you have the time to spend and do something yourself, is wonderful. It's not so popular, but people have a lot more time than they used to. People used to work a lot harder than they do now. Mm-hmm. But I don't think people are doing what they would do. It's so much easier to just hit a button. So it's either hit the button or just try to figure it out and go get some new music. Yeah. The problem with that is I don't know if you try to do this on Amazon or not, but last time I went to order music, they took my credit card and started charging whatever they wanted to. Because what happens is they skip over it. Instead of you ordering where you think you're ordering, another one picks it up, and then they get your card. So it's not so easy doing that online, like the old days. You just go in a music store and pick up the music you wanted. Yeah. Or but this is what's happening. It's happening with businesses. You're getting defrauded out of so much money, either ACHs or it's going rampant. They're hacking into your emails. They find out who you're working with. They change something a little bit. The client sends them the money instead of you. It's like, hey, I didn't send that to you. Well, I got some. People are not having control over things like they used to, and people they can just hack into anything, which is very scary.
Yeah, well, in music, they were talking about how. Back in the day, a few decades ago, with music, you didn't have the option to change. You had radio stations, and then you had a cassette tape or album, vinyl.
Right. Yeah.
But you didn't have the option to change stations all the time. So you were exposed to music that you normally might not choose, but you were exposed to different music. So there was more musical genres. Because now you can, if you don't like country, you just turn country off. But if a country song came on in the station you listened to, you heard it, and you maybe were exposed to something you weren't exposed to before. So that has changed how people relate to music too, because they can be so selective about it. Choose exactly what they want.
It's funny. I have a friend that's playing so I played at all of our gatherings at my historic house, and everybody just loved hearing the honky-tonk music. And all of a sudden he had a stroke. He played by ear, and he came over and he didn't want to play anymore. I said, "Can't you play some of your music?" "I can't remember it."
Wow.
So it's good to have music you can read.
Yeah. I wondered how people do that without being able to read it. How do you?
Do you play?
No, I'm always enamored by people who do. I don't.
It's just
love music and love
1,
to
2,
sing.
3, but you got to do a lot of 1, 2, 3s. You do, and then it's not just playing the notes; it's how they were meant to be played, and that's the hardest part. It's like, is that a quarter note? Is that one has a dot over the top? Was I supposed to do? Hold that a little longer. Okay, hold this one when you're supposed to play the other ones. That's a little hard to do. No, it's funny with what's really written in the music. It looks like one thing, but what's really written how it's meant to be played is interesting. It's just it's a whole nother world for somebody.
Yeah,
these people that play, it's insane how they do what they do. They're geniuses at that.
Yeah.
Obviously, their mind just clicks right into it. A lot of practice, but they're very smart at arithmetic or something that gets their mind keyed into it. And you do memorize. You memorize things, and you do memorize it. But if you have a sweaty moment where you're just stressed out, you can totally blank out while you're doing it. So it's good. It's good to go, I got that key. But otherwise, you're done. You have to stop.
Yeah.
You do have to stop. But that's always good to have a little backup.
Is there a person that has had a big influence on you, has really helped shape your life over the course of your life? Or there's somebody who impacted you in that way?
Interesting. One single person. I think it's just more as a group. Well, I was lucky enough. I had a dear friend in Brazil that I traveled 15 trips to Brazil, and I got to go meet the most famous landscape architect in the world, Roberta Burley Marx, and he was privileged. He grew up in a wealthy family, but he grew up being a singer, and he learned sculpture and art and landscape architecture. He did all the work with Oscar Niemeyer and Brasilia with all the beautiful architecture, and he did all the gardens because there was nobody else in the 50s. And he did quite a few gardens. I got to go visit him at his studio, and then I got invited to his house for they were selecting one of his artworks for the Nicoroy movie theater curtain. They were going to reproduce his art to close at the plays and musical events they were having. So I got to go to his house. Now he lives outside of Rio, and everything was curated at his house: his gardens, his greenhouses. He was doing a studio up on the hill that had all of his artwork actually imprinted in concrete. They sculpted out the art as though it was a painting in concrete. It was just amazing stuff. But he had all these paintings, and I got to meet him, and he had 45 people for lobster and filet mignon with all the champagne and wine you'd ever want to have. I mean, we're talking about 45 people for a sit-down dinner. I mean, it was quite impressive. So I got to meet the man with the art and someone world famous. He did Brickell Avenue in Miami, and he did parts of the Botanical Garden in New York, and many other things. But he was most famous for Brasilia. But to see his art and to get to meet him, and he did a number of talks for landscape architecture, the foundation. He would come and do, and so he spoke pretty good English for someone that spoke Portuguese his whole life. So you could hear, and he would show images and all. So that was it was quite a change just to see something that beautiful that one person developed over time and just. So that was I don't know whether I really didn't have that much time there, but I get to get the essence of what and how important it was to their country, because they're actually developing a place like Brasilia. All those families were very close knit. No one wanted to leave the coast where all the development happened in Brazil. So they had to pay people 3 times their salary to go to the interior and work in Brasilia. But even doing that, not really one thing. To travel was interesting. Just seeing different things in China and Hong Kong and all over Europe, and just seeing how different things were. Well, there's so much to look at, immerse yourself in. But I don't know, just one thing. It's kind of hard. What happens in Naples? You're kind of in a bubble. If you're working, there's not much time to leave and do a lot of travel. I say that's somewhat true, but you can do whatever you want to do. But not really one thing. Did I work with any architects were great? I don't know. I never really get a chance. Not really you have access to. Usually all that work is done before you get it. So many times I have to work like a Band-Aid and make it beautiful. And that's okay too. But not really one person. It was nice to learn music at an early age, and I don't do so much as I'd like to because I get busy at work, and then you get in your regular routine,
How about a hidden talent? Do you have a hidden talent?
Any hidden talents? Oh, I can whistle.
Yeah.
No, hidden talents. God, I wish I could say I could be a great radio announcer.
There you go.
Yeah, I could. If I wanted to sit there for hours and talk, right? Talk radio. No, it's pretty funny. I don't know. No, I don't know what to say about that. No, I think I pretty much promote what I can do, and I do, and I change things up. I like to invent things when I can. I can make things better. It's fun. I mean, and the people coming up in the industry, what's interesting is I'm finding the younger generations don't want to have as much social interaction. I don't know if it's because, I guess it is because of the internet and Facebook and all. Although you want to be great and you want to be a star and all that, but it takes a lot to go from what you're seeing on Facebook and from where you are sometimes. And that's what's happening to, I think, the younger generation. It's so much of a gap between what you're seeing and where you are that's insurmountable. I don't know. They don't show the middle stages of people's mistakes they took.
Yeah.
I used to have a friend say, people see the drinks you have, they don't see the accents you have.
Right.
Right?
So true,
how hard you must have worked, and you're working. They all say, "Oh, you were so lucky." It's like, the harder I worked, the luckier I got. But I think that we're finding in our landscape architecture organization, if you go to these seminars, I've been going for 40 years, but you know what? There's just a fraction of the younger people there anymore. They don't want to be there with you. They don't want to talk to you. It seems like, I may be wrong, but they don't want to immerse themselves in that to learn about the new products, the new pottery, the new lighting, the new outdoor furniture, the new everything that we have access to. We have all these wonderful materials we use in our work. I think they can get it online so much easier. And maybe it is easier, but it's not as you don't hear all the problems with it. Hey, I put that tile on the wall. You know what? That lacquerite, I could see right through it. I'll never use that again. Because they could, there's certain things you can tell people that in person that's not going to be on the internet. You're like, hey, I worked with this client, they hated that stuff because that silvery stuff, it flaked right off. You can't use that outside. You're telling people things from your life experience, and that doesn't always equate when you're just sitting on a screen. And I don't think you can't be the best you can be with just relying on that screen to be everything for you.
Yeah.
I think you just have to. And although when I started out, I was so shy because my dad was never at home, but I was so shy. I didn't want to pick up a phone and ask anybody anything. So my dad say, you want to work this old Model A I got out I was going to use it for hunting, but I'm not going to use it. You want to use it and maybe take it to school? I said, yeah, that'd be cool. So I had to fix it all up. He said, you have to call the mechanic because that little glass bowl, it's got those flakes in it. I think it's not going through the engine so good. I said, I can't call him. He said, no, just pick up the phone. Here's the guy's name. I can't do it. No, you can do it. Just pick up them. I can't do it. Sweating. So finally, when he got through that one, but it's that exposure, and you're forced to do things you don't normally feel comfortable doing. So I finally got through that one. I learned pretty good how to do different. Those are simple engines. Now you can't figure out where the carburetor is, or where the starter is. It's all covered up in the new cars. You can't work on them. You can't do anything.
No.
The computer controls everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, back in the day, these cars from the 1930s were so basic, and you could almost write on which everything was.
Yeah, and there was a
the
schematic
coil, the
for it,
starter.
too.
Yeah, there's the engine. I could tell that.
Yeah.
But and it was a good life experience.
So we saw a comedian recently in the opening act. The comedian was talking about how when you used to have to call a girl for a date or call somebody for a date, you had to be terrified that the father was going to answer, and you had to ask for the daughter. And how easy they have it now because they could just send a text and they don't have to worry about going through the dad. But you'd had to hear the dad's voice on the other end.
You're terrified. You're going to date my daughter. Where you're going to take her? Yeah, no kidding. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was something that I didn't think about that we had to deal with. It. Yeah, the terror. Calling anybody on the phone. I mean, now phones you don't call anymore.
Now the phones you just pick up anywhere. We couldn't do that back in the day. No. You had to be at home.
Yep. During a certain time. No, if you missed that call, you missed that person.
You tell my sister to get off the phone. She's been on there for an hour. You had all that to do. Remember? And then they had party lines. I heard what you said about us.
Yeah, you could hear everybody. Yeah, I had two sisters too.
That was a little bit ahead of my time, before my time, but yeah, that was funny. No, things change over time, but I'm glad to be in Naples and be a part of the whole changing of Naples. Although parts of it I don't think I want to see, but it is progress in some ways. But the main core, I'll go back to the main core of Naples, it still feels the same to me after 40 years. The downtown, it's gotten better. Obviously, it's more beautiful. It's more expensive. At least we have a town center. We have a sense of place. Yeah, so many places.
No place like this in the world.
There's nothing.
This is so special.
No, so and the height of the buildings change it. Keep it that way. Where the churches are, where the parks are, where the beach lines the whole town. I mean, there's only so much space. It's not really like other places. Like Palm Beach is absolutely incredible, but it's not really accessible like Naples is. I mean, but beautiful, insane. I mean, I grew up there. Of course, we drive by Mar-a-Lago and go, oh my gosh, that's 8.5 acres of wonderful. Look at that. That was before he bought it. But, that's an amazing place. But it's great to be from an area like that. But I'm happy to be isolated in Naples. I feel like I'm very isolated because it just doesn't change much. It feels the same.
You're a big part of being.
I got to be a little bit part of it. Yeah.
If your life were a movie, what would the opening soundtrack be?
God, that's interesting. I don't even know. Everything's coming up roses, probably. But anyways, it's that's an interesting question. Yeah, this has been great. I don't think you could. I could have stayed in Palm Beach. I would have had a wonderful career. I don't think it's as friendly as Naples, though. I just think you had a lot more elements come in there that are much more difficult to deal with. And although there are characters here, but I just think there was a lot more of everything on the East Coast, and I'm happy to be here more of a quiet area. Really, yeah. I mean, when you're younger, you want to go out and explore everything. But as your age, it's like, I really don't need that. Yeah. I'm happy right here. I like this.
We got all right here. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't need that. Yeah. I don't need this. And so you find a happy medium where you are and what you're doing and what you have. And, and it's all good. I'm just happy just to be interested in and working with old structures and having fun with that and seeing people smile when they finish and they walk through it. It's like, I can't believe this, and especially now. Now it's just, it's more evident than ever when I'm able to do functions and people just. I have clients come over, they just don't know how you started anything, and why did you do it?
Yeah, right.
Why did you do that? Are you serious?
Why?
You took that up on that 10-foot hill in one piece, and then you turned it like 90 degrees. Whoever does that, but it's anyways. You have to like the process again. Yeah. So taking something that's nothing and turning it into something is great. But I got a lot to work with on that one. But yeah, it's fun stuff. Yeah, so it makes it go around, and that's what I like doing with designing projects for people. You start and it's like it's really either just been let go or it's not right. It never was right, and you change it around. You get done. It's like it's right, and it's like that just feels so good to be able to do that for someone that can't do it. Yeah. That doesn't have the. They just can't. They don't know anything about it. They have no clue what to do, how to do it, and what to leave out, what to put in, and that's what makes it a challenge. It makes it interesting work, Yeah. So I keep doing it.
Yeah. Well, we're blessed to have you in our community.
Right.
Keep doing it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
It's awesome to me to realize that it was you who was behind that house, because that was like one of our growing up in this area. Going by that Oriental house down there was just something. It was like when we first saw Disney World for me. It was it had that much of an impact on me.
Really, that's great.
Yeah.
That had so much to it, and we did it on such a budget. It was insane. We had rock and water company out of California, rock and waterscapes, come in. Because it was a huge waterscape for Naples. It was the largest one that ever happened in Naples. Because it was, you went from the house all the way down to the lake, and it was like a lot. Everything was lined with rubber liners and all these beautiful boulders, and they always did the best work. They did two different waterfalls there. Anyway, it was a fun one because there was so much space, but you had to be real careful how much you did in the open areas. It's 6 acres. Most people are lucky if they have a 1/4 acre lot,
Yeah.
So a lot of turf,
Yeah.
But we covered the areas up front's pretty much like it was. The trees are still there, and they're still salt tolerant, and they're one of the best I've ever used. That's pretty much the way it's always been. 40 years. That's hard to say for landscapes.
Yeah, it is.
It's usually go, right. People just change to do with what they want, whether it's right or wrong, and they don't know how hard it's going to be to maintain. But to have a garden stick around for 40 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And the one I'm working on now is interesting. I worked with this. I don't know I haven't done the research except this is funny. The first woman, she's no longer here, but she was older when I worked with her. Her last name was Sacchini. And I said, what a strange name. She said, well, she was an heir to the Swiss monarchy somewhere, but she won't tell us. So I said, okay. Then I was looking through some historical pictures in Naples. I think it was in the history book of Naples. And there was a picture from 1905, and it said, one of the names was Sacchini. I'm going, SZYCHENI. I said, who would ever be here in 1905 with that name? Well, they must have been connected way back when. Was she built this beautiful house. It's only a 1-story with a 2-car garage. I've worked on that for 40 years. So I worked on the second one. We did a little renovation. The third one, only renovated, got here and spent 1 week and said, we're going back to Boca. We don't like it. And then the fourth guy that got in there said, he's from Canada. And he said, I really like this place, but can you change it? I said, yeah, okay. And he had the architect come in. He said, the architect wanted to totally redo the roof and all. I said, I don't want to mess with the roof. What can you do and make this wonderful? I said, well, I did this job in Bonita Bay for this computer genius. Had a company that was doing all these computer parts. He was selling them all over the world. And I said, we ran out of room. The architect kind of did this beautiful house, but there was no room for the staircase to come down. So, we made a landing, and then we did stairs coming, swinging down on both sides with a water garden. So you drove in, saw this beautiful water garden, and you maneuvered to the right, went under this tower. And I said, this one, we have a similar thing. I said, I'll show you a picture if you like it. He goes, oh, I want to see that. So I showed him. He goes, that's it. I want to do that right there. So we had to do pilings and everything. So we did that, and we're still working with it. That was 10 years ago. So we added that. We made it the pool I had done back in, it was about 1981. Anyways, it was a simple pool. She didn't want anything special. So this new client has like 5 poodles, and they really love their poodles. So he said, you know what? Since you really like your dogs, they're a major priority. Let's do a water garden for your dogs, okay? So we expanded the pool like twice the size, this big fan shape, and let the water spill over the backside. And so the big poodles are there and the small poodle, and they put this beautiful sculpture, these water sprays out of this Venus marble sculpture from an important antique dealer on the East Coast. Anyways, we got it all done, and it's an amazing place, and they're amazing people, and I'm glad I get to work on a job for 40 years, go back to the same property.
Awesome. Wow.
4 different owners, but it's really a joy to be able to share that with someone, Yeah. Of course, I didn't know. You never know what your clients are all about. Well, one day, all these trucks started showing up one after another from this most important company out in Palm Beach that sells classic European relics from castles. And it's like one truckload after that. I said, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. I think we better kick it up a notch. So we did this beautiful French detailing everywhere for him, and it's still amazing. Everything and you can walk in. He says, I don't want to see any snakes. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to do walkways everywhere. So you can traverse the entire property, which is probably an acre and a half, which is big. It was 2 lots and they were really deep. It faces the sunset. So we did amazing. So she takes her dogs with the little leashes and goes around all the walkways, and they don't see any snakes because they can see everywhere they're going. So it's a fun little project to work. But everybody wants something different, but you can also style it to meet their taste. Everything inside gilded this, famous things, some famous places. Like, oh my gosh, well, I just want you to step outside and feel the same way. So that makes.
Are you ever going to slow down?
I don't know. Maybe. It's fun. The more you meet these people. I've worked with really high-powered people over time, and they're so nice, most of them. Anyways, it's just it's a challenge. I don't know.
I mean, you seem like your passion is just still so there. Like
I love
your passion
it.
never left.
I do. I love it.
Yeah,
But I think the only reason people retired in the olden days is it was time to retire. But nowadays with modern medicine, if you feel good, you should work. If you don't, if you don't feel good, I understand it. If you feel reasonably good, just keep doing it. If you like doing it, if you just hate the people, if it's something you just hate doing, forget it. Just do something you like. It's just something that builds over time. Like it's a process. So and things do change, not too much really in our world. You make things beautiful and grow over time, and that's the hard part about my business is having different plants grow at the same rates. So you have to. Some things just outgrow everything. You can't do those. I mean, I can't leave a job and feel right about that. It just has to be the right thing for the right place. But and that's what makes it fun. It makes it challenging, and you learn over time. Just from working on gardens and architecture. And I love interiors. I have an interior store now and a nursery, a retail nursery. But I did that because I love it so much. There's so many parts to it. And it's just intriguing. It's just everything's intriguing. I grew up going in architecture school. We were with the architects, interior designers, and building construction at the University of Florida. So you're in the same building. You're seeing what they were doing. They had their thesis. They had their projects they had to put up on boards. And you're seeing all this. You kind of get an appreciation for it. And then after working with all these talents over time, I mean, of course, people's tastes change and products change, but it's just gotten better over time with the products that people are asking for. They see all these Pinterest and all. There's stuff on there nobody ever used to have access to. And they say, I want it to look just like this. I want just like that. I know that product. I know I want it ebony. I want it this. I want this polish. I want that. I want that color. I want it lit up from here. It gets very specific. So you have to be able to be a juggler and get it done.
Yeah.
So it makes it. It's challenging. It's somewhat. Exasperating, but depending on how much people drill you, but if they can pretty much leave you alone, that's the fun part. So yeah, it's kind of fun. How about you?
I don't know that what would I do if I retired? I don't know.
That's what I said.
I'm
not going to sit at home. That's self-destructive. I mean, I could watch my garden grow, but I mean, I can watch other people's garden grow. I just get as much fun. I get to try all kinds of things, and so that's really the fun, So yeah, what do you do if you don't do it?
Yeah. Especially if you love what you do.
In this day and age, I mean, it's real. It's different than when our parents grew up. My dad retired at 55 and he bought himself a sailboat. I said, Dad, he said, well, they offered me early retirement. I said, okay, well, good for you. So that guy, he loved the last 30 years of his life. I mean, he lived for that silly boat.
Yeah.
And he did everything on it. He'd go over there and sleep on it. He'd be in St. Pete. Have to drive an hour away. So he'd just go over there and camp out and tie a knot here and pull it apart and tie another knot. I said, I don't want to do that, but I mean, good. I'd go and sail, but I really don't want to do the nuts and bolts and fix the carburetor and, make sure that, everything's working. A boat's survival. You gotta be a mechanic to have one.
Yeah.
Everything's broken. You just don't know where it is yet.
Always.
Yeah.
Our area, this is such a unique place in the world. This is so special. What we have here, Naples is
Totally.
just one of a kind. I mean, it's hard for me to go on vacation anywhere, and to come back. We live in paradise. It's beautiful. I mean, I love that we have medians that look beautiful. Medians alone are just spectacular. So much about this.
You know what? That's my my dear friend Pam Lilly. She worked for me a year or two early when I brought her to Naples from New Orleans. But she is such a beautiful person, and she is one of the hardest people I've ever met in my lifetime. She's got a photographic memory, and she does so much for Collier County. We get so many advantages having a professional in that business and knowing how to write grants, knowing how to write proposals, and knowing how to manage a group of people like that and do 153 miles of
Wow,
roadway.
that's amazing.
I know that's well. That was when I had a lot of help with when I did the project in Bonita, because I've been doing residential work since Naples, Gabe, except for the promenade. I mean, I did the promenade 20 years ago, but and that was still more like a residential project, really. But yeah, it's great to have a professional like that I say donate their time, because she spends more time than they pay her for in the county, and it just shows up because you're able to get grants for whatever you want that we want to do here. And she has a program, and she gets it. If it's all the people, all the towns and cities that don't have people that have an interest in that take an interest, and they just give the money away. They have the money available. You just have to show them how you want to spend it.
Yeah.
And so they have expended. They show how they used it, and there it is. And we do so much in fertilizer, so much in cutbacks, and now you're doing all the rotaries and all in Naples. You're doing the new rebuild of the Pine Ridge Road, interchange there. That's all county driven, and it's all by grants. All the artwork, all the maintenance on the roadways is all managed by the city, and all the sources of water. There's so much to go into those projects like that to make Naples beautiful. And of course, the city is different than the county. So, but it's just, it's hard to believe we have that much. She has more than 150. That's all I remember. Over 150 miles of roadway. That's a lot to have it designed, have it built, and to manage it, and mulch it every year. Fertilize every.
Yeah.
I get to hear about it because she's an open book. Yeah, she tells me all the challenges. It's a lot for one person. She works like 5 people. I have to say, truly.
Yeah. Get our money's worth out of her, right? Taxpayer money.
More than that, she's a genius at what she does. And Collier County is so fortunate to have someone that has that kind of mind that can pull it together. Yeah. So that's why Naples is beautiful like it is, and you really won't see many places. I mean, even though you want to go to the best places in the world, you might see a nice little area, and then all of a sudden it's blight. I mean, even on the East Coast, and in parts of California, you go like, well, there's Rodeo Drive. Well, that's about all you got.
That's it. Yeah.
If you go to some important areas, it's like that one little cluster, and it's not so pretty when you get outside of that. It's not like it's connected by 150 miles or something. Right. But we were lucky that we didn't get developed until much later on, I think. Even Bonita was, old Bonita was bypassed in the 70s when they did New 41, and the business has absolutely died. Everything on Old 41 died. So it's taken all these years. That's what, 50-something years?
Oh, because it took all the traffic away from there.
Everything.
Right? Yeah.
So all the businesses died.
Yeah.
But it's getting a slow build back, and of course we have the little Wonder Gardens, which is fun. Now you got the Sugar Shack that all the young people like to go to, because we used to have concerts at the Naples Beach Hotel, which is now the Four Seasons. But now you got local talent. I don't know if they're local band, but you have a local place having talent, and for younger people, and the noise factor is not a problem there. You're in downtown. You have food. You have some nice food establishments happening, which brings people. It used to be, it was two people just running through there. So we slowed it down with having the parking there and the medians. We put the medians in there, the rotaries at Pennsylvania and Terry Street we put in. And I was lucky to do the dog park in Bonita. And I did parts of Terry Street, but it was fun to get to work on those and make those better than they ever were, and use native materials and things that they could manage. So it's just been fun to put all that together. But it is getting those things in place, and then making everything else improve with it, because people get the idea. It's not just we tried to hide all the Bonita tried to hide all the strip commercial, because we were lucky to have Bonita Bay on one side, and then you had Country Creek on one side. That was just a small area. The rest was all strip on the east side of 41 all the way up, and tried to hide the strip, all that. All the shopping plazas, where there was a scheme going on the road, but it was hiding those standards were like 30 feet tall. There's just all these lights, but nothing around them. So we were lucky to have something on one side. We just tried to emulate it on the other side, which is kind of hard to do. But if you go through it now, you kind of see how it kind of matches on both sides. Yeah. So we did. So anyways, it is nice to be part of that and be able to make a difference there. So I was happy to be here and be of service to my community and help them get to where we are now, because it's been 10 years and you can really tell a difference.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
It does
It's
start
happening. Yeah.
change where people think, you know.
Yeah.
But Indiana Bay is a beautiful development, and having the promenade as a jewel is quite nice. But there's some incredible properties in there. That Pelican Landing, amazing. So you got those projects on that side that really make that corridor great until you get to Fort Myers.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need to get some grants going on there. They could do so much. There's a lot of right of way all the way down. I mean, there's some challenging areas, but not really. It's like the airport when you come up there. It feels like the runway.
Yeah.
They've done. You can see they've had. I guess they've had a little bit of budget still working. They've done a little bit of things, but some of the things they're doing are way out of scale, and now they have to pull it all out. It's just when they do get money, maybe they just don't put it in the right place. But they didn't seem to be a program like Naples has, and it could be. I think it's just a matter of the people in the right positions, you know, driving that home and getting the grants available and getting those contracts and moving forward those professionals, designing those landscapes and then managing them. That is so sad. I mean, Estero has started it, but then you get to Fort Myers, and I think they need more management with their professionals in that kind of arena. I mean, it does make a difference. You see Naples as a poster child for it.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nothing like it.
No, it's special. Yeah.
I get to hear about it every week.
What would you say that you love about your life? That's a question I always like to end with.
Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, you know what? I really enjoy meeting the people here. I think it's more, I have to say, I get the calling card of saying, hey, you want to come over to see my old house? You think, really? But I mean, now I get to I have the retail spot where we have the plant materials and what we do. We sell the plant materials I like to use in my gardens, and that was the reason I opened a retail nursery. It's very small, but then I got into collecting beautiful interior pieces, iconic pieces from different designers, art, mirrors, you name it. For the interiors, I have it. I absolutely love doing that. I've seen it my whole life, but I like to meet people and see what I can do for them. I just love that sense of enjoyment, and their intrigue is so enriching. I mean, the people, they're listening. What are you going to tell me? And everybody has something to offer. If they're open, it makes it so rewarding, especially when they've come from areas where they've done other projects with other professionals. It's a nice process to go through with them, and I think it's just every time you meet with them, sometimes I'm always thinking about each project and what am I going to do to make it better, and what am I going to make that one better, and where do I get that? How do I do it? And how am I going to get that in there? How am I going to, and then I'm going to show the client, oh, I love that. I said, well, I don't like that style so much, but I like the idea, So you're trying to just test. See, it's a proving ground for what people's tastes are, where they've been, what they want to feel like in their home. I think it's getting to know them, and honestly, I have to say, every project I've had with clients, I end up treating them like friends. I can't help it. I want to do whatever I can do for them. And that's, it's probably not the right way to look at it, but it's just the way I feel about it every time. And it's like, and I just get a big kick out of it. I really do. So it's all about the people. It's like, whatever they're going through, whatever they want, whatever they didn't have that they want now, and however they want to entertain their clients or friends. I really want this. I want to sit here and look at this. I want to feel like this in this space. Okay. Let's see how we can do that. It's a process. It's not overnight. You can't just do that all at one time. I have to meet with them, and I have to come up with an idea and say, this is what I would do because you have this space and this space, and here's what we do here. And we end up really with this golden corner here. This is the magic of your site. I just got to tell you, whatever you do, let's do this spot. It'll make everything come together. And it's like, it's them, the discovery of what they get to go through while you're going through your creative process. So that's all I got to say. It's what you feel when you're doing it.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah, I like doing that. I get a big kick out of it. I really do.
Yeah.
Can't help it. But that's the joy of doing it, because I really feel like for me, they're friends. They probably say, oh, okay, it's time to go. But, and some people invite you in for wine and for a dinner, or they'll take you to dinner. And some people are just very quiet, and they appreciate what you did. And some, I got the funniest thing. I have to mention this. Because it's dear to my heart. So I got to work with some celebrities. I don't know if I really should say who it is. But anyways, they live in Bonita. And I didn't hear much after we finished the project. It was a very challenging project. And all of a sudden, Saturday night, 8:30, I get a voicemail. I said, oh no, what is this? Sorry. Christian, I got to tell you, I'm here with my wife, and we're sitting at the table you told us to sit at. I said, we can see your vision. I said, and we just love it, and we really thank you.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's quite a celebrity. And I don't know, I thought I was in big trouble. But now you do everything. You pull every rabbit out of every hat. You really, if you can, and you can. Some people don't see how they're going to get there. And said, hey, it's not a big deal. Let's just do this. We'll pick this up. We'll do this. We'll move this over here. We'll pull the drainage here. We'll do this. We'll get the lighting up. Now we can create the lighting for this and this and this and that. All links together. Don't you like that? Like, yeah, I kind of do. So it's just kind of doing those things. It's if it is the process with them. I can't see it all at one time. I have an idea what I'm doing, but I mean, I don't. Sometimes you don't feel the magic until everything gets synced into place with the paving and the water gardens and where the foliage has to be for a lot of reasons. So there's only a place you're creating all the places you can for something beautiful, and that's the hardest part. But it's the what you get at the end. It's, I think that makes it worthwhile.
Yeah, that's that gift you have of your vision when you see something and being able to communicate it to somebody when it's not there yet.
It's not there yet. Totally. I know what it's going to look like.
Yeah, you can see it.
I don't know what it's going to cost us, but I can't. You can't take so many pieces to make the puzzle fit. It just, and you don't know until you get towards the end. Then you can tell what everything is. And there's not much you can save without just not doing something. But if you change the material, you're going to save 10, 15%. Get what you want. I mean, how many times you can do it? I mean, some of these projects are so they're so small when what you're having to work with, but you have to do so much with it. There's only so many ways to do that where you can maintain it over time. I mean, you can get it in, but then you got to maintain it over time. It's got to drain. All the plant material everything has to be drained. In our work, you have to drain everything because at 52 inches rain, it's all at one time. I got to lift up the planters. I got to drain all the planters, subsurface, under the roots, and above ground drainage. You're getting all that in, so everything is going to do well over time because it can't go back. That stuff I can't change. You got to do it right, and then you're doing all the pretty stuff on top. I said, you can really tell someone's beautiful work if you just take a torch and torch everything, and what you have left is what they started with, and then all the gardens for free. But it's kind of fun. We used to do I did my most detailed work for another good celebrity. Well, really wonderful people in Naples. I did their first job for this one architect that came in town. We had more hardscape on that than I've ever worked on. We did 6-foot walls on both sides. The neighbors weren't very happy because they were in the houses next door that were done 6 feet below. Yeah. And they were watching the shoes go by. But you couldn't help it with the codes of building. Yeah. So boy, I got to do the most ever. But those are fun. As I tell people, it's everything. You just torch everything. You see what we did without everything, but it's how we build it all together and make a program. And that's how civilizations were built. If you go back to see them now, there's nothing. The people are gone. The roofs are gone. It's just the foundations. Yeah. So we build big foundations for gardens and then make them come alive. So it makes it really a challenge in these little tiny lots. Yeah. Yeah. How much you get, unless you're out in Golden Gate City or Golden Gate, or Pine Ridge has some big properties. Naples has some big properties, but there's not too many down near Gordon Pass or anything. Yeah. Pretty much, unless you buy 2 or 3 lots, then you get a little bit more to work with. But then the houses get bigger. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it's all fun stuff.
I look forward to seeing the pictures and what Zach puts together when he puts.
And I want to take you on a tour.
That would be beautiful. That would be awesome.
You like that?
Yeah. Yeah, actually see.
We did 2 tours last year. We used to do the tours for the Botanical Garden for their fundraisers. So we did one in Marco, which is one I get to work with in just a little bit of time. And then we did one. So I did bring them to the Haldeman House, and we did the Bonita Bay Gardens. And so it's great to show the people. I don't know. Sometimes they're just garden lovers. They love just seeing something different in Naples. Mm-hmm. And then I always do home and garden tour. We were on the home and garden tour in Naples for that one house we did on the bay, which is a beautiful Renaissance, amazing place for the same owner that went to St. Bart's for amazing garden. Anyways, yeah, it was. It's fun to see. It's fun to be part of that. It really is.
Yeah, I would love to capture that.
Yeah, we'll do
Capture
that
on video.
Yeah,
We'd love
I'll
to
get
see
you the articles. You just take a glimpse of it. I even have the interiors on it, which I get to do everything. All the historic houses, I get to play interior designer, which was fun. You had to make it up to date, you know. You couldn't put historic stuff in there. I did have some historic things, but I got done with that. It's more modern. You know, all fun stuff.
Awesome. I'm really honored. I'm so glad
thanks.
we got to do this.
Yeah, I didn't know you were doing all this famous talk, you know, show and tell type of thing, you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Just capturing some of the charm of our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.